So you have this question in your mind: how can an executive coach help you? I'm going to start with Janet Harvey, CEO of inviteCHANGE, and I'm an executive. And when people say, "Can I help you?" it makes me crazy, because that's not what you want. You want someone who will be useful to you, someone that will support you to bring the best value possible in your work as an executive for your organization. So let's examine useful, not helpful, okay? And ultimately, who defines what's useful? You do. The value of having a really good listener, someone who is a critical thinking partner, who's able to keep up with you, because of course you work very fast. Your mind makes connections and you are synthesizing information at a rapid pace all the time. What if you had a moment once a week to slow down, hit the pause button on that pace, to really let yourself quietly reflect on what most matters? Someone who is able to ask you the questions that, yeah, you've been asking them in the back of your mind, but you haven't stopped to say, and what's my answer? You're always out there in your organization doing on behalf of others, whether that's the board or your customers or your team members, or perhaps something that's happening in the community, always in service to others. And when you take the time with an executive coach to be in service to you, it's a bit like the instructions we get on the airplane. Put your own oxygen mask on first before you give it to somebody else. And this is what can happen in an interaction with a coach over time, that you can tackle big goals and objectives, things about your way of contributing in the organization, what you give your attention to, how you spend your time, the way in which you are engaging to bring up the level of competence of your team members, perhaps even the way you challenge your board directors to think about the future in another way. Boy, we need that right now, being able to reimagine, what does the world of work look like and what will the future look like as everything transforms? Being able to have time that's your time to think out loud with a partner who is not going to take your first answer because that's probably familiar to you. That executive coach is there to help you think beyond the boundary of what's known and familiar to you and give you an opportunity to start to construct a new picture and ultimately to start to map out what that pathway would look like so that you can do the change management necessary to be the executive leader the board counts on you to be. So those are some ideas for you about how an executive coach can be useful for you. And if you'd like to know more about this, here's a download for you with some ideas about how you might prepare yourself to select an executive coach and get started.